And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's your good pal, Jeremy Dog Danley, and this is the Bar Gig Files.
3, 2, 1, fire.
We've got an awesome guest. I'll call him a guest host today.
Hey, all right.
Gig Files. Yeah, you like that? Right there on the cover of America's Best Bar Comics. Let's have a round of applause for Derek Luna. Yeah. Bar Comedy USA superstar, host of the World Series of Comedy. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. Derek's also going to be at Bucket's Second Round Pub in Racine, Wisconsin this Saturday, February 14th. Big Valentine's Day show. And you're one of the road warriors, dude. Like Derek goes coast to coast. What's the name of your vehicle? The
Crow.
The Crow, yeah.
It's a black Chevy Equinox, and I call her the Crow, and she's got an attitude. She does.
How so?
I mean, she's murdered a whole family of raccoons. I hit a deer one time, and I got out to check on the car and make sure, that the car was okay. And she was like, "Get back in, you effing pussy." It's like, hey, calm down. But she's got over 300,000 miles on her. So, yeah, I've been everywhere in her. We crossed the Rockies last weekend for the umpteenth time. Yeah, I love it. I love being out on the road.
I did probably about 1,000 miles a week for 20 years.
Yeah, everybody keeps saying that I'm going to get tired of it someday. It just hasn't happened yet, I guess. But all my other comic friends are like, "Yeah, I love being out there. Just the travel just gets to me." And I'm like, "But it has not. I get antsy when I'm at home,
Yeah.
So it hasn't happened yet, knock on wood.
Yeah, and I would say that, now I fly to a lot of these shows that I'm doing. When I was driving, you actually see the country. When you're flying, you just go into an airport, which is just like an expensive mall.
Yeah.
And then you sit in a tube for a couple hours, and then you're just in another really expensive mall, and then you're just wherever you are. But when you're driving, you actually see the country change and morph into these different geographic regions, And
I'm a bit of I was going to be a geography minor in college. So I'm into all that stuff too. The way mountains form and turn into plains. And I get into that stuff for sure. And I couldn't agree more. I hate the airport. Anytime I flew to Laughlin for a gig earlier this year and just immediately was like, I'm driving next time. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm driving next time. I can't stand it. In my car, I've got everything I need. And I don't know, I get into the long drives. When I'm driving across like South Dakota, I'll put on old Western movies. So I feel like I'm riding out on the range.
Yeah.
Like I'll put on spaghetti Westerns.
And start getting into character.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And when I'm going through the mountains, I put on documentaries about like the frontiersmen and the mountain men and stuff. I mean, I'm into
Jeremiah Johnson.
Sure. Yeah, I love that one. Yeah,
I do too. I love it where he works so hard to finally get his fire going, and then like the snow from the tree branch falls on it and puts it back out.
When I told all my buddies that my car heater was broken earlier this year, when I did one of your gigs in Duluth, my car heater was broken. And I camped out in my car at like 20 degrees. And everybody started calling me Hatchet Jack. They said I was going to freeze to death out there with
Hatchet Jack.
with my joke book in my hands.
Yeah.
I'm the Hatchet Jack of comedy.
Yeah. Derek Luna. I like what you do too. Derek puts out a video blog. Is that what you would call it, or a road journals? Is it a podcast? What would you call that?
Well, it's a
series that
YouTube
you
show.
I see clips and shorts.
It's technically a YouTube show, but I kind of run it like a travel log. And it's also something I grab my reels from whenever I put reels up online. But yeah, it just documents the journey of the weekend basically, and then interspliced with parts of the gig, jokes and stuff like that I'm telling on stage. So my whole idea whenever I originally started it was something for my daughter is 3 years old. So something she can look back at later and be like, what was Dad doing whenever he was gone every weekend?
Yep. Yeah.
Get a chance to see what I was up to and see me hanging out with my idiot friends, telling jokes and stuff. At least that's something I would have loved to see what my dad was like whenever he was younger, what he was getting into. That was kind of my thought process.
Yeah, now we have these tools. We've got you do the video.
Yeah.
And you don't have to it's a more interesting diary. A more interesting journal.
Yeah, I can hear some stories from my old man about.
I liked one of them. You said you did a video. You said technically it was not a great comedy show, but I still think everybody had fun.
Yes.
So I don't know what show that might have been, but that's also kind of like sort of the unofficial motto of the Pub and Grub Comedy Tour. It may not technically be a good comedy show, but guaranteed everyone will still have fun.
That's why I think these are so valuable for comics, is because if you need everything to be perfect, how good are you? If you need to be on the best team with the best, if you really want to test yourself, put yourself in an environment where maybe things aren't. And again, most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, the Pub and Grub gigs are just awesome. But every once in a while, there's somebody who's signed up to do one who doesn't really know what they're doing. And, they're learning too how to put together a comedy show. And I remember the gig you're talking about. It just didn't sell as many tickets, and this guy had the idea, let's just invite everybody in the restaurant in to come in for free, which isn't a bad idea necessarily, but there was a guy that sat right up front who was on a date, who was not going to stop talking to his date no matter what. And there was lots of stuff going wrong. It was still daylight outside. I mean, it was a challenging gig, but you figure out a way how to still make sure everybody's having a good time despite all of the challenges that are going on. And yeah, it makes you a better comic. I firmly believe that.
That is what somebody told me a long time ago when I first started, was that if you just have fun, they'll have fun with you, and you'll never have a bad show.
Yeah.
It was Jim Wiggins, the late, great Jim Wiggins. He was the last hippie in America, and he was a saloon comic, and he had a real gravelly voice. Do you know who Jim Wiggins is?
I've never met Jim Wiggins, no.
He would do a 90-minute set, and it would be billed as 60 years old, 30 years in the business, 90-minute set, or something along those lines. 30 years in the business, 60 years old, 90-minute set.
And I think the opposite is true too. If you're not having a good time, then nobody else really has a chance to have a good time.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's the whole key. Just have fun with them. And the element of danger, I think, not danger like lives are at stake or anything like that, but you don't know what the hell might happen at some of these bar shows.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to be prepared. You've got to be prepared to expect the unexpected. And if you're so routine oriented as a comedian that your routine is broken by a distraction, which is inevitably going to happen,
Yeah.
even if they're doing everything and the best they can do, and they've got it set up and everybody's stoked, and you don't have the guy in the front row talking to his date, they probably forgot to turn the jukebox off, and then the automatic song just goes on in the middle of your set.
Yeah.
And if you just have fun with him, when I was complaining that he was like, "How's it going, Jared Dog?" I go, "Man, it's just been so tough. I can't do my." He was like, "Just have fun with them. If you have fun with them, they'll have fun with you. You'll never have a bad show." And he's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had gigs where the audience really won't let you do material. You know, they're rowdy, and you've come with all these jokes that you want to do, of course, and you have to just kind of get over the idea that this crowd is not wanting to hear, they want to interact, they want to, they want to suggest things to talk about, like they're just in this different vibe, and I've had to just be like, okay, you guys, this is going to be a different show than what, the other shows are. I'm going to take this left turn and I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes doing this. I had this 30 minutes in mind for this section, but now this thing happened. And so now this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, it goes off in a whole other direction. And that's what I mean by the element of danger is like, you don't know where that could take you. You might not be prepared for it. It could tank whatever you come up with. You're walking a tightrope. Yes. And I think that is the beauty of live entertainment to begin with. If you want perfect and polished, you could stay home and just watch Netflix and watch a streaming stand-up special that's been edited well and it's been produced perfectly and all of that. But what the beauty of any live entertainment at any time, actual in-person live entertainment, is the fact that it's vulnerable to anything could go wrong right now.
Yeah.
Even if you go see a play or a big production, a light could fucking fall down. Like anything could happen. And I think a lot of times people are on the edge of their seats waiting for that thing to happen. In a bar, you got alcohol involved, and you're also up there presenting it conversationally. When you're talking, when they go, we don't, you get the vibe that they just want crowd work, but they don't even know to tell you, we only like crowd work here. They don't even know those words. They don't know any of this. So it's like you have to disguise your material as crowd work or as audience interactive.
Yeah, I can't say how many of these bar shows people have never even been to a stand-up comedy show before. There's so many of those where you start talking to people and they're like, this is the first time I've seen stand-up live.
Yeah.
And that's a responsibility for you.
Yeah. You're the you're the representative of the entire industry now.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, the element of danger. And then I've said it before, if you do enough of these, you got to be careful because you'll go back to a comedy club and it'll start feeling a little boring. I've had some of my friends who don't do a lot of these bar gigs they get distracted by like the check drop, like things like that in a comedy club.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, unless you drop a whole tray of beer in front of me, like I'm just moving to another side. Like I barely noticed some of that.
Yeah. And even then, if you drop the tray of beer in front of me, I'll probably pick one up and start drinking.
Yeah. This is the next 10 minutes is just talking about this, like
that's right.
Just rolling with the punches.
And sometimes I would go into comedy clubs and like you said, it can seem a little boring because it's so controlled, which is great. And you can just absolutely murder and you do a little bit less time. Yeah. But when you do get into the situations where you might be doing some crowd work, or I had this show in Plano, Texas at the House of Comedy there, and I don't know if you were there that night.
I was there that night.
I got bar comedy aggressive with him.
I think that somebody forgot to light you too.
Yeah, yeah. And
You came out sweating, and you were like, "Did somebody forget to light me?" Like,
yeah.
you did a long set and just crushing these people, and yeah, it was great. But yeah, you were like, "What? Did somebody forget to light me?" Like,
Yeah. At bar gigs, there's no light. They're like, a light? What? And all that stuff. They would. Oh, that was great. You know, I would do some of those shows, Derek. I don't. Have you ever had this happen where it's the town jackass, and someone will come up to you afterwards and go, "Man, I'm so glad you put that guy in his place. He comes in here every week acting like an asshole. Finally, someone came in and told him off."
I've had that happen, but that's by accident. I just stumble into the guy.
Yeah.
I'm usually really careful. You know, in a club, you see a lot of guys going after somebody really aggressively and calling them names and stuff. And it's never been my style. I always try to make the person sit down and enjoy the show. Because especially when you start doing these bar gigs, you might go after some lady who's talking loud, and then you find out that's like the bar owner's daughter or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're at one of these bar gigs, it's their party, you're just a guest, and you have to be really careful, you know, if you're roasting somebody in the middle of your thing. Somebody who feels like they're entitled enough to talk in the middle of your comedy show probably is related to the guy who's running the show. That's been my experience, at least. So I try to find those things out for sure if I can. Going with the cans.
We went on mute a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
The whole last part you said, I think, is on mute. I think your something went on mute somehow.
I don't think anything's changed on my end.
I can't hear you now, Derek.
Oh, shoot. Shoot, everything looks fine on my end.
We're getting good stuff there too.
Everything looks fine on my end. Can you hear me now?
That's all right. Let's see here. I'll try refreshing. We'll pause it.
I was saying your overlay looks so great.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, this looks great.
So all that you just said was, I think it was on mute.
Oh,
either that or my headphones went out.
Well, the long and short of it is that if somebody feels entitled enough to talk during one of your shows, they're probably related to the guy who owns the bar. So be careful how hard you roast somebody.
Yeah, you know, I always had a style too, like to not really roast them too hard anyway, because it does create a negative vibe, and then that violates that rule of make sure everybody just has fun. Even the person being the jerk, I would somehow try to make it into like let's make it fun that this person is the villain of the night, you know, sort of like they're the bad guy wrestler. We don't really need to hate them, but let's just make it fun for everybody to be in on the gag that we boo them at the right times for the right reasons.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. My whole goal is to make them behave themselves, but still stay in the show, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
I have early on in my set, I have a song about getting violated in prison by a guy named Bruce. So a lot of times if somebody's misbehaving, I'll just make that person Bruce. I'll say, everybody give this guy a round of applause. It's my old cellmate, Bruce. He showed up to support me. Bruce, I'm glad you're here, but I'm terrified.
Yeah.
And then that person's gotten the attention they want, and then they kind of usually settle down a little bit. And at least it's making the other, you know, make the rest of the audience laugh as well. So
Yep. And then you bring them all in. All right, man. Well, I'm glad we could do this. The Bar Gig Files. Derek Luna, he's in the book, America's Best Bar Shows. He's the host of the World Series of Comedy. We are going to 12 satellites this year. You're going to be at all 12 of them.
That's correct.
And that schedule is, you know what? I would say the World Series of Comedy.com, but really we should say VIPTicketHub.com because that's where you can get tickets. And you can get tickets and see Derek on the Pub and Grub comedy tour. You probably at least, what would you say, on average, once a week, 2 or 3 times a month at minimum, you're out there doing
Yeah. At
shows?
minimum, today's my getaway day. I'm driving tomorrow to Hamilton, Ohio, and then, like you said, Racine, Wisconsin on Saturday. It's my Valentine's Day run. All this
Yeah,
week.
that's going to be a good one, buddy. Valentine's Day, it's that sleeper holiday, but it's comedy's good for date night. So
Yeah.
you should probably have a good crowd there in Racine, Wisconsin. And if they're not sold out, you could go to barcomictix.com and
Yeah.
see if you can get tickets or give them a call. All right. Thanks. Let's have a round of applause for Derek Luna.
Thanks for having me, Jared Dog.
You bet, buddy.